Welcome to Animove 2020 and our e-learning module Research Data Management for Animal Tracking Data. In addition to the analysis, the organization and management of research data is becoming increasingly important. This module will teach you the basics of research data management and will show you what to look out for. My colleague Gabriel Schneider and I are from the team Open Science of the Communication, Information and Media Center at the University of Konstanz and are part of the Movebank 2.0 project team. We will start with the basics. What is research data management? What does it consist of? And how do you benefit from good research data management? Next, as you probably know, research is a process. In research data management, this process is often seen as a cycle. You will learn what each phase is and how you achieve good research data management for each phase. Afterwards, we will show you how Movebank supports each step of the research data lifecycle and which tools you can use. Let's begin with a definition. Research data management is part of the research process and aims to make the research process as efficient as possible and meet expectations and requirements of the university, research funders, and legislation. Nowadays, nearly every funding institution requires some form of research data management in its funding requirements. But research data management shouldn't be seen as a chore that has to be done just to satisfy the funding requirements. As the quote states, efficiency is one of its goals too. So you as a researcher profit from it as well. Let's have a look how. First, research data management helps you to plan your research and to create and collect your data. It teaches you concepts and tools to better organize and structure your data. This leads to a more efficient working process, as you will not need to invest as much time to find your data when you need it. Furthermore, it is easier to cooperate with other researchers if you all follow clear rules for naming data, folder structures, etc. Once you have organized your data, you will want to keep it. Research data management offers solution for secure storage of your files. This includes concept of backups, long-term availability, and access management for your data. With the help of good research data management, you will be able to find relevant data for your research and make your own data findable for other researchers. This is done by publishing on platforms such as repositories. All of this improves the reusability of data. This means that you and your collaborators can reuse data again at a later point in time. If you publish your data following principles of open science, this also means that other researchers outside of your working groups will be able to reuse your data for their own research. In research data management, the research process is often visualized as a cycle, the research data lifecycle. This version of the research data lifecycle consists of 5 different phases. If you take a look at different institutions, you might also find other visualizations, but the main steps are always the same. The first phase is planning and collection. Often planning starts with an idea or hypothesis, based on former research and ends in planning each step of the research process. Afterwards, you execute the plan by performing experiments. The second step is the pre-processing of the collected data. This means preparing it and cleaning it up for the analysis. In step 3, the analysis itself, you work with the data to answer your research questions. In step 4, parallel to the publication of your results, your analyzed research data, sometimes called cold data, should be archived in a safe environment that makes the data findable for others and guarantees a long-term access to it. Such an environment could be, for example, a repository. The fifth and last step, before the cycle starts again, is reuse of the research data. You might discover datasets from other researchers that spark ideas for your own new research project. This takes us to the planning phase again, but maybe you won't need to collect new data yourself this time, as you are able to reuse the published data of other researchers. We will now take a look which tools you can use for different steps of the life cycle. To plan every further step of your research project, it is helpful to create a document called a Data Management Plan, in short DMP. This document should be created before you start your project, and it needs to be updated during it. The DMP describes how you will handle your data during the project and afterwards. Its goal is to record all aspects of data management, including metadata generation for your data, its preservation, and how you want to analyze your data. Many funding agencies, such as EU Horizon 2020, expect you to provide a DMP when applying for funding. There are different online tools available to support you when creating a DMP. To just name a few: DMP Online, DMP Tool, the Data Stewardship Wizard, or the Research Data Management Organizer, in short RDMO. Your local research data manager should be able to point you in the right direction, so don't hesitate to reach out. So, after you set up a plan, you will probably start to collect data for your study. In the field of animal tracking data, this might include equipping different animals with sensors to track their movement. For the sensors, you can choose between different technologies. The sensors also differ in size and weight, and you should choose the most fitting one for each project. After you equip the animal, you release it again and data transmission begins. To guarantee reliable results, the sensor must be able to send data over long distances and function even under difficult conditions. This includes resistance to water, heat, etc. From this point on, Movebank offers you multiple free tools and services to support you in your research data management along the research data lifecycle. You can use these to manage, share, analyze, and archive your collected research data. You can ingest your data into Movebank to process it and prepare it for your analysis. Movebank supports data based on multiple different collection methods. This includes live GPS data, Argus Doppler locations, radio transmitters, and furthermore. For a detailed description how to set up each type of data, please see the Get Started section under Help on movebank.org. When importing data to Movebank, you will have to follow different steps to align it to Movebank's vocabulary. It is called the Movebank Attribute Dictionary, and it includes a set of standardized attributes to describe your data. In this vocabulary, every attribute used in Movebank is stored and defined. This lays the foundation for good data documentation, as every record in the Movebank database is described with the same terms. Aligning your own data to the dictionary will help you understand every term and gives you the ability to understand other datasets in Movebank. The Movebank Attribute Dictionary is published online. If you want to have a look yourself, you can find it on the Movebank website under Help in the top right corner. Movebank can align the attributes of your data in two ways. For standard formats, Movebank allows for an automatic mapping. This includes, for example, GeoTrack GPS data, and furthermore. For a full list of supported standard formats, please consult the user manual on the Movebank website. If your data isn't structured in one of these formats, Movebank offers a tool that supports you to align the data step by step. The tool will guide you to manually align attributes in your data to Movebank terms. Again, for an extensive description of the mentioned tools, concepts and steps, you can consult the Movebank user manual. You can find it on the Movebank website under Help in the top right corner. Movebank also offers different analysis tools. This is an example of a simple visualization. What you see here is based on the movement data of white storks by Berthold and Katz. This kind of visualization is produced for every dataset in Movebank. You can view and configure it via the study browser on the website. There are multiple tools available for deeper and more complex analysis for your movement data. For example, you can use different software packages. These are written in R, Java, MATLAB, Scilab, and so on. One prominent example is the R package Move. Via this package, you can access Movebank data in your R environment and analyze it. Move comes with different functions for statistical analysis and visualization. If you want to combine your movement data with other environmental data, such as weather or topography, you can use ENV data. An extensive tutorial on how to use this tool can be found on the Movebank website. Additionally, we work on a new service to expand the possibilities of data analysis in Movebank. Move Apps will be a web-based tool for the analysis of animal tracking data. It is a platform for applications or so-called apps that are written by the animal tracking community, for example in R. Move Apps gives you the possibility to combine different apps to an individual workflow. Thereby, you don't have to write your own R script anymore. You can use single building blocks to create a chain of tools to fit your needs. For example, you can combine an app for importing data from Movebank with an app for filtering out specific animals and a visualization app for creating a graph. Users will be able to contribute new applications themselves, making even more ways of analysis possible. You will be able to save your workflows, share them with collaborators, and publish them afterwards. The workflows will get a persistent identifier, meaning you will be able to cite them in your publications. At the time of this recording, Move Apps is not yet available for public use, but a beta version should be online by the end of 2020, so please stay tuned. Before showing how you can use Movebank to achieve sharing and long-term availability, we would like to discuss some general aspects for data sharing. Why should you share your data? There are numerous reasons. Research is often publicly funded. By sharing your data, you are giving something back to the public. Your data can be relevant for researchers with other research questions. If you publish your data, those researchers might use your data to answer other questions that you haven't even thought about when first collecting your data. Data is a scientific product and should be treated as such. Other researchers using your data will cite it accordingly, increasing the visibility of your work. Sharing data gives others the possibility to verify your research. This leads to an increased solidity of your findings. Additionally, some funders require you to share your data. If you are funded in such a project, sharing your data is one of your obligations. Of course, there are objections against data sharing. You may be afraid of someone stealing your data. However, someone using your data for publication has to cite you as an author of the data. If you'd like to share your data, but not as soon as it is available, publishing it under an embargo might be an option. This means that the data will become available to others, but only after a set time period. You might think that sharing does not make sense because potential users might not be able to understand your data correctly. By describing your data with rich metadata and by using a standard vocabulary, like the Movebank Attribute Dictionary, you will prevent this. Furthermore, this helps yourself if you plan to use the data again, maybe years later. Yes, some data is sensitive and should not be shared with the whole public. Concepts such as controlled and limited sharing can be used to still make the data available for selected researchers that fulfill the requirements needed to gain access to the data. Movebank offers controlled and limited sharing of your data, which is described in more detail in our second Animove module, Legal and Ethical Use of Animal Tracking Data. Maybe you think that sharing your data is too time-consuming. Yes, it takes time and effort to do so, but you can minimize it by practicing good research data management. If you invest this time during your research process, publishing and sharing your data won't be as time-consuming as you might think. You can also use available resources that help you to share your data, for example the automatic import option for standard formats in Movebank. On the other hand, you might even save time if you reuse data from other researchers. They are more likely to share their own data when sharing is more commonly established in academia, which in turn you can contribute to. And again, the time you spend sharing your data can be seen as an investment, as the data is a product of your research. It is an easy opportunity, especially compared to the publication process of some journals, to gain additional academic credit for it. For more information about legal and ethical aspects of data sharing, please watch our second Animove module, Legal and Ethical Use of Animal Tracking Data. A great place to publish and archive your data, or look for data to reuse, is the Movebank data repository. This service is an extension to the Movebank website, and it guarantees long-term access to selected datasets that were used as a source for peer-reviewed journal articles. You can access the repository via datarepository.movebank.org. The repository is technically hosted by the Communication, Information and Media Center at the University of Konstanz. To submit data, you first have to upload it on the regular Movebank website. If you then publish a journal article with the data, you can initiate the process to publish a copy of it in the repository. Now we will give you an overview over the services of the Movebank data repository. First, the repository guarantees persistent storage of data that belongs to your publications. This means that the data will be secure and accessible for the next decades. Movebank data repository offers curation for all its contents. This means that a professional data curator will review your submitted data and help you to describe and document it in the best ways possible. This leads to a high level of quality for the whole repository. For every dataset, a digital object identifier, in short DOI, is allocated. This means that every dataset is then equipped with a persistent link that won't change and that can be used to cite the dataset in your CV, publications or other studies. Nature recommends the Movebank data repository on its recommended data repository list. Every content in the repository is published under a Creative Commons Zero license. This ensures the biggest freedom and possibilities for its reusability. You can download any dataset and the corresponding metadata for free, without needing the permission of its authors. Nonetheless, you should follow good scientific practice and cite the data accordingly when using it in publications for your own research. What you see here is an example of a dataset in the Movebank data repository. On the top you can see its title, followed by recommendations on how to cite the data. This includes a citation for the paper that was based on the data as well as the data itself. Under the citation recommendation, in the blue boxes, you can see the DOI, which is a permanent link to this website on the Movebank data repository. If this site would change and move to another location, the address of the DOI is updated so it always points to the right location. On the right side, you can see the license of the dataset. As mentioned, every content is published under CC0, which is indicated here. To help you understand the data on a first glance, every record comes with an abstract, describing its contents. To help you find the right data, for example animal tracking data from Burkina Faso, there are multiple keywords for which you can search. Aside from this metadata, every dataset consists of different files. One or more files contain the actual movement data of the animals. Those are CSV files. Additionally, you get reference data for every record. This can include additional information about the animals, such as their age, their weight, or further more options. The information described in all those files follows the terms of the Movebank attribute dictionary we mentioned earlier on. Furthermore, there is a README file which contains the documentation of the data. This includes the citation recommendations, the license note, and an overview over the terms of the Movebank attribute dictionary used for this dataset. The README file exists for every movement data and for every reference data file. This is an example of what the file section of a dataset in the repository looks like. The first section consists of the movement data of straw-colored fruit bats itself, accompanied by the corresponding README file. The next file is another CSV file, which contains acceleration data. You can see another README file here as well. The last section contains the reference data about the animals and another README file. You can download and reuse every file you see here. Just click on it, download it, and start working with it. Another way to reuse data from Movebank is to download data directly from the Movebank database. Via the study browser, you can look at datasets. As Movebank offers the possibility for controlled closed access, you won't be able to see every dataset, but a good amount of the records is available openly. If you need access to a specific dataset, you can contact its owners, so they can grant you access to the specific data. Via the download option in the top part of the browser, you can choose to download movement data and reference data. There are a few key differences between data from Movebank and Movebank Data Repository. As Movebank users retain ownership over their data, it's up to them to grant access to the public or to keep their data closed. Nonetheless, data from several hundred studies can still be downloaded. Before that, you have to guarantee that you have read and accepted the license terms for the specific dataset. If you want access to a non-public study, you have to contact its owners and ask for access. Movebank offers a role management system which can be used to manage who is allowed to access one's data and who isn't. If you get access to the data you want, you can then download it as you would public data. Here you can see where the download button for each dataset is. The second red box marks a license node for the dataset. In this specific case, the user chooses a custom license and defined that users interested in data have to contact him to ask for permission for data use. Since 2020, Movebank offers users the possibility of using standardized licenses for their data. Those include the Creative Commons Zero license, Creative Commons Attribution, which is known as CC BY, and Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial, CC BY NC in short. For more details about the license terms and data access possibilities used in Movebank, please watch our second Animove module, Legal and Ethical Use of Animal Tracking Data. In conclusion, a good research data management helps you through the whole research data lifecycle by making your research process as efficient as possible, to share your data and reuse the data of other researchers, to meet requirements of your institution and/or funders. Focusing on animal tracking data, Movebank supports you in your research data management with various tools and services. Here you find our general references, and here the references of the images used in this video. That's it for this presentation. We hope you gained a basic understanding of research data management and how you can use the service of Movebank for it. You should now know the research data lifecycle and its steps, which is important to practice research data management. You should know where you can upload data and share it with others, as well as reuse data from other researchers. If you want to learn more about legal and ethical aspects of using animal tracking data, check our other presentation, which is also part of this year's digital Animove. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions and/or remarks, please feel free to contact us and enjoy the other presentations of Animove 2020.